It seems no one travels to Romania without mentioning the word enchantment, and it's easy to see why. In the early morning, above the village of Stegerishu in Transylvania, a cattle herd guides his cows past a goat pen guarded against wolves by vocal dogs. It's a picturesque but hard life for the men and women who work up here, and it's a way of life that has died out elsewhere in Europe. This is a world where the old ways are still very much alive.
Because of the clip-clop of the horse carts, many people say visiting Romania is like stepping back in time, but I wonder whether it also could be a view of a possible future too. Agriculture here seems to be kinder to nature. Farmers work in symbiosis with their land, not against it. There's more seed variety, there's more healthy soil. So I'm going to visit some small-scale farmers here in rural Romania and see if I can get an idea of a kinder way of dealing with our European agriculture.
I'm going to stay with Ion Ungariano at his farm in Costești, in Wallachia, the Old Kingdom.
Yeah. Valiza.
As soon as the sun is up, the day starts. Mrs. Ungariano milks the cow, Voliano, by hand. First of all, washing the udders carefully, for reasons of hygiene. Environmentalist Juana Maria says the homestays can have a positive effect on village communities.
By doing this, by supporting little tiny families to opening their space and to continue milking their cows for once, you, on the one hand, financially allow communities to sustain themselves so that they don't rely on outside help, so that they don't rely on pesticides for farming that are subventioned by the government or things like that. So you give them a living, and you do it by encouraging them to maintain their customs, which I think is actually the ideal case.
She says the villages are suffering from a crisis of confidence, which is partly due to consumerism and villagers comparing their material wealth with those of city dwellers they see on television, and partly due to the long legacy of communism. During that period, the authorities considered rural life as backward and wanted to relocate people from the countryside.
They've been basically told that everything that they're standing for is bad, and you have to remember that throughout 50 years of communism, this was a practice by the communist government to do away with values, do away with everything that was traditional. They were telling them, you are moving to town, and what they did in order to prevent them from going back to their land was they just flattened their entire villages down.
With the milking done, we herd the cows up to their pasture land above the village. In Romania, unlike other parts of Europe, wild flowers abound, a paradise for bees and biodiversity. Vasile collects honey from his bees. The coloured hives are often moved around the countryside to get the best foraging meadows for the bees.
Îi dai catul jos, nu? Ale mai scoți. Păi îți dai seama ce acolo e nebunie.
Anka Kalugar is a young, small-scale Romanian farmer who has also set up a small business selling quality regional products. She says it's no coincidence that Romanian honey wins awards for its taste.
I think that biodiversity, the fact that we still have such a variety of flowers, the quality of honey is coming from the quality of the flowers. So that's the secret. Keep the biodiversity and you will have good quality products.
Other sites are not quite so romantic, but nothing is wasted up here in these mountains. This goat was ill, but its skin will still be useful. We take a beautiful walk across the village to some more lush meadows. It's time, finally, for me to learn how to make hay the traditional way. Everyone in the village seems busy with scythes. It's stable, sunny weather, but the cold months are on the horizon. First, Ion has to hammer his scythe until it's sharp. He finishes the job with a whetstone.
În Italia zicea cineva, da, în Italia zicea un bătrân, zicea, am văzut în timpul războiului de asta. El văzuse acum,
I ask to be given a lesson in scything.
de trunchi, de porc.
I love this sort of work, but for me it's just for a few days. I will leave soon, and it's pretty hard work as it is. In a Romanian village, I meet a young woman called Pia Brodstrager from Austria, and we discuss the danger of romanticizing this sort of lifestyle.
As I talk to the people, they also really want more luxury and development. And as I found out, for me, I can come here, I can enjoy the old way of living. However, those people always have it like that. Like a woman over there doesn't have a bathroom. They always wash themselves outside. So, as I said, for me, I can enjoy it, but I can always go home to my luxury, you know? People here not.
Meanwhile, Adriana is harvesting beans.
Culegem de căpelea uscate.
To collect only the
By now, our beekeeper friend Vasile is collecting the dry hay in. And back at the Ungaranus, we're preparing dinner. But before we eat, the pigs have to get their food. And everybody else.
Ei,
One of the challenges facing Romania in 2014 is the phenomenon of rural depopulation. A lot of people, particularly young people, are moving away from the countryside into the cities, thinking that they can't make a decent life for themselves in the villages. But I've come here to a small village in south-central Transylvania to meet a man who's moved away from the city to the country, and he's trying to make a decent living out of organic agriculture. Let's go and meet him.
It's a pretty unusual farm, and it's run by a pretty unusual guy.
I am Willy Schuster, and for me it was my dream to become an organic farmer because I learned about it in Switzerland while I was interpreting for interns, and for my children's sake I wanted for them to grow up in a happy, healthy place and have a healthy and happy life.
I ask Willy whether there's a danger of romanticizing this sort of life.
You can't romanticize enough. You can't romanticize enough the happy life of a small-scale farmer in Romania. And they love to do this, and they want to continue doing this. The opposite is true, that the corporations, the consumption, this commercial life and capitalistic life, this is pushing too hard. And that's the rhetoric, what you just asked, that's the rhetoric of the corporations. who want to destroy first everything in order to then come and sell their inputs and their chemicals and so on. So I strongly believe you cannot be enough romantic about small-scale farming in Romania.